I use Disney, not just to pick on Disney, but as an example of what we are talking about when we talk about a rigged economy.
That was Bernie Sanders criticizing Disney and their executives for making too much money, overpaying their CEO. Disneyland Resorts, it should be noted, generates, this is from the company, by the way, generates more than $5.7 billion annually for the local economy. It's the area's largest employer. In fact, it's added more than 11,000 jobs over the past decade. That's a 65% increase. This, of course, is part of a larger picture, right, that saw thousands of protesters conducting massive strikes against McDonald's. This has been going on for a while, demanding higher minimum wage as much as $15. Joining me now to discuss, Gina Loudon, Jillian Melcher, and Steve Rogers. Now, for me, guys, I'll tell you right now, Jillian, I'm going to go to you because you also wrote a piece pointing out the hypocrisy. We know Bernie Sanders, these 37,000 union workers is what he's really representing here. Yep. The median CEO in America makes $117,000 a year. The top 10 union presidents make $416,000 a year.
Or more.
Or more.
Or more when you factor in the compensation. It's absolute hypocrisy. The AFL-CIO put out this report condemning CEO pay, essentially. But I was looking at what some of its executive council members were making. Six-figure salaries. And then if you look at some of what they're doing, the painters union spending $550 on expensive wine bottles. You look at plumbers AFL-CIO hosting these $8,000 lavish dinners at a Napa Valley winery. Right. This is outrageous. It's hypocrisy. They have no room to talk. You know, Steve, I did some work today, and from 1950 to 1960, Anaheim's population went up over 600%. The best of any city in California. Why? Because in 1954, Disney started construction on Disneyland. To me, it was a godsend, and to me, if you have low skills, it's very few places you can find jobs these days.
You're absolutely right. It is a godsend. They're employing a lot of people. But as painful as it is going to be for me, I have to agree with Jillian, and this is painful. She's right. There's a lot of hypocrisy here. You can't have union presidents making hundreds of thousands of dollars, saying they're representing the little guy that's working hard, and at the same time making the same salary, if not more, than these high execs.
But here's
I should point out, too, that a lot of these states where this is happening, it's not right-to-work states. So these are literally taking member dues, taking it from the little guy and paying it to the big guy.
The little guy who may or may not want to pay such dues.
Exactly.
Right. You know, Gina, here's the thing that we have to grapple with, though. This is a popular message. Bernie Sanders is killing it. Hundreds of thousands, he's gotten, tens of thousands of people show up for his events. He's dominating the millennial voting. What's the deal in this country that we're turning on capitalism?
Well, Marx called them useful idiots. This is classic neo-Marxism, Charles. This notion that somehow someone giving you a job is hurting you. It's absolutely ridiculous. And all they're really working toward is working to get Disney right out of very expensive California. They cite things like, Bernie tends to cite things like, they can't afford housing. Let me tell you, this is my home turf here. And I can tell you the reason they can't afford housing. It's because there's a 75 cents per gallon gas tax. It's because there's $35,000 to $70,000 per home just in extra fees. That's per home in California to build. And here's the other thing. I'm in the neighboring county of San Diego, and I can tell you that it's not much different than where Anaheim is located. And Charles, 83% of the land is owned by the government for national parks. So these are the things that make housing expensive. This is the bottom line, Charles. If they weren't paying their workers enough, they wouldn't have enough workers. And that's the bottom line.
And this is why you need a businessman like Donald Trump as president of the United States. Very clear.
Amen.
Jillian, real quick, you spend a lot of time on college campuses. Mm-hmm. Why do you think this is so pervasive? Why does this resonate so much? Is it the free aspect of it, the social justice aspect of it?
I think it's all of those things. But if you look at Bernie Sanders' record, the Sanders family, Burlington College under Jane Sanders' management just went bankrupt. It went under. She took a $200,000 severance. Millennials need to pay attention to hypocrisy like that as well.
Well, the last page of any socialist playbook ends in bankruptcy and often violence and death, too. Thanks a lot, guys. Mm-hmm. Hey, U.S. stocks continue their rally. In fact, 2 great days back to back.